Good evening, everybody. We're going to call the meeting to order, and the first order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting of January 17th, 2018. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
And I know there were some minor corrections. I think Tim picked up a couple.
I can't remember.
I think you did. And those corrections were made. So anybody have any questions, concerns? Any other corrections? No? All right. I will move that we approve the minutes as presented from the January 17th, 2018 meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, carried. The first order of business is the Wild matter, and Mark, why don't you take us through the application? I know it's been revised a bit. You've supplied us with more information.
Start from the beginning or just continue on from the last meeting, Scott?
Just give us the Cliff Note version. I think we have a pretty good idea of what you want to do, but I know we wanted to see more specifics.
So application in front of this board and also in front of the town planning board. I'll just discuss this board first. It's a so application for 3 area variance. So Chris and Katie Wheel own property on both sides of Wurtemberg Road. This particular application is for the property on the east side. The total parcel size is about 12.5 acres. And the basis of this application is to convert an existing residence into an accessory structure as a dwelling unit or a guest cottage. And so that principal residence is now located very close to Wurtemberg Road. And there's an existing barn that is located almost due east of that, and that's now going to become the principal residence. So the barn will become the principal residence. The existing principal residence will become an accessory dwelling, an accessory structure with a dwelling unit or a guest cottage. And so this particular application requires 3 area variances. So first, because the accessory structure in the dwelling unit will be in front of the principal residence, it requires an area variance for that. Secondly, accessory dwellings or structures with a dwelling unit have a limit of 900 square feet of habitable space, and this is well in excess of that. The habitable space for that existing structure is 3,520 square feet, so there's an area variance requested for that. And then finally, for residential properties, an aggregate of 1,500 square feet is allowed for accessory structures. And so when you combine that, and then also there's a pool house it's also a roof structure that's located on the southern portion of the property. When you combine those 2 accessory structures, they're greater than the aggregate of the allowed 1,500 square feet. I also mentioned that this application is twofold, so in front of this board and also in front of the planning board. I've already had an initial meeting with the planning board, but they held any processing of the application because this application has not been formally processed with this board. We did meet. I had some additional homework to do requested by this board, and so I did that. And so if this board decides to accept this application tonight, I'm on the agenda for the town planning board March 5th, and that is for application for site plan special permit to allow an accessory structure with a dwelling unit on the property. Some of the items the board requested at our last meeting I've provided on the plan. I am not involved with the um, designed for water and wastewater disposal for this property. So Tim Ross is the engineer of record on that. And so this plan now shows the location of the existing water supply for both. It's the existing water supply for the current residents, and then it's also going to be the same water supply for the new residents or the existing barn. The sanitary system for the existing residents or new accessory structure is located to the south of that structure shown on the plan. And then the proposed wastewater disposal system for the new residents will be located to the southeast, and that area is shown on there.
Right.
In addition, this board requested some additional information on the floor plan and elevations that were prepared by Amber Construction, and I provided that information to this board. I think there was some, request for some dimensions with regard to height of the structure.
Right, well, there was a surprise. The first time around, I think they said that the roof line was going to be 4 foot high, 4 foot higher, and it would not be a problem. And then I think we learned later on it was going to be 14 feet high or something along those lines, so
Right. So
that's why.
I understand. All right. So I've provided that information for this board.
I know at the last, when this application first came up, there was a question about number of accessory structures. Can you just verify how many accessory structures there are?
So there's only 2. That would be, well, it's going to be the existing primary residence and also the pool house. There were other accessory structures on the property. I know there was, when the last, I've been to the property twice, and where I've showed this, where the gardens are, there's some beds for the gardens here. There was a building there that's been removed. And then there was also a gazebo in this area that's also been removed.
That probably wouldn't even qualify as an accessory structure at this point in time, the gazebo and that kind of, it wasn't, it's pretty small as I recall.
Yeah, it was very small, right.
All right.
If you have questions about the accessory structures, now's a good time. Yeah, you may recall that we just had a brief discussion. I think it might have been even after the meeting closed last time, just about how many were on there. So
Right.
we did talk to Mark about it, and Kim looked at the accessory structure provisions, and the pool doesn't count because the limit of 3 applies only to roofed accessory structures.
Well, I think Mark's right, it's just the 2.
Yep.
Right. I know in the past, when Ron was CEO, he would include the pool.
Right.
We went through that on the property next door. So,
And even if it was included, that's still it's the 3 limit, but
Right.
it's not a roof structure,
Right.
so I think that your count is correct, so.
Does the board have any questions? I think we have a pretty good idea of what they want to do, and I appreciate the fact that you gave us the additional information that we requested. It just makes it easier to review the plan thoroughly. I think we have enough to go forward and accept the application. That's my feeling. What's the feeling of the board?
I agree.
Agree? Okay. I make a motion at this point in time that we accept the application and set it down for a public hearing. We're going to have to do a seeker determination.
Yep, we can let's talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
We've done some work on that, and it requires a little bit of discussion.
Yeah, I think it does, but so we'll accept the application first and then do
Yep.
the, all right. So I make a motion that we accept the application. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Chris, what's the next, March 21st? Is that a date you can be here?
yes,
Okay, you know what happens on that date. You've been here before.
yes.
It's not your first rodeo. All right. Thank you for the additional information, and we'll have it on for the 21st.
Okay, thank you.
So you're going to make a motion to hold the public hearing at that date?
Yes, yep.
Okay. We should make a motion to that effect.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know we did that. All right, I'll make a motion that we have a public hearing on March 21st. I thought we just said it.
Second that.
Second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Opposed? Okay. Thank
Okay.
you, Mark.
All right, thank you.
Can you stay while we talk about seeker?
Yes.
Because it affects your client. So, you know that normally this is the juncture that we make a seeker classification for the action. This particular action is in front of, or about to be in front of the planning board for a site plan and a special use permit. And I believe it's anticipated that from a seeker standpoint, the planning board would be classifying this as an unlisted action, based on my discussions with Mike Trimble. As you know, we can't take final action until the seeker process is brought to either a negative declaration or an accepted draft environmental impact statement. And for lots of reasons, we would prefer not to be the lead agency
Yeah,
for the
I was gonna
environmental
suggest that.
review of this action. At the same time, we understand that the applicant has an interest in, and I think the planning board, wants to see this also, wants to know whether or not the variances are going to be granted before they go forward. It makes an economic difference for the applicant whether to invest further funds in pursuit of their planning board approvals. And also, it makes a difference at the planning board level because the variances, if they're granted, will represent certain constraints with regard to the special use permit and the site plan. So my proposal, which I have already made to Mark and to Michael Trimble, the chairman of the planning board, is that we proceed forward, that we're not going to take any action with regard to seeker. We'll have our public hearing, we'll take comment, you can have your deliberations on the application, and as we normally do, sort of make have a straw poll and decide what you want to do, and then we can assign the resolution. And at that stage, then we can communicate the board's position to the planning board, and Mark's client will grant us an extension of our 62-day
days.
time limit, and we will wait until the planning board has gotten to the appropriate juncture in the seeker process, and then after that, we'll formally adopt your resolution.
Right, sounds like a plan.
So
So they'll be lead agency, which it makes a lot of sense, I think.
Yeah, you don't want to be lead agency
No.
if you don't have to be.
Yep.
All right? And I believe Mark has to, talk to his clients about it, but I believe it makes sense, for all concerned to proceed in that fashion. All right?
So we need something in writing with regard to...
That would be helpful.
Okay.
Yep.
Regarding the extension.
The
Yes,
extension.
absolutely, on the
Yep.
extension.
I'll
Yep.
provide that.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
good. Thank
Thanks.
you, Mark.
All right, thank you.
We can also probably make referrals for this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have to do that, that's right. There's probably a bunch.
Good catch.
This actually looks, because this
Is
is
it
for,
Oh, the planning board.
yeah, just
they're
for the
reviewing it.
Rhinebeck Planning Board, because it's exempt for Dutchess County because it's a variance for residential use.
Right.
No
Okay.
open space and not in the LWRP.
All right, so it's just to the planning board.
Good, thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, next we have, John, do you need a moment just to write some notes?
Nope, all
Nope.
good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Garden Homes. Okay. We left the public hearing open, as I recollect, in order to get some more information, and I think that information was basically supplied but I think Mr. Patel was able to give us additional information. He
Yep.
made certain complaints, which
Yes.
have been addressed by the town, and as far as I can tell, there are no outstanding violations on this property,
That's correct.
which was my concern at the last meeting, that there might be existing violations, and our procedure in the past has been if there are existing violations, we do not go forward with a new application. But that, according to a letter dated January 29th, 2018, from John Fenton, ZEO, there are no violations of record, and he went through the various issues that Mr. Patel had.
Yep,
So I think we can go forward and,
I agree. I
All right.
agree. And I think, isn't there a draft resolution out there?
Well, we can close the public hearing.
yeah, first we have to close the public hearing, so, we can do that. There's nobody here on the application, so you don't have to go through the dog and pony show again,
All right, thank you.
unless you want to.
No.
Okay,
I'm all
that's
set.
good. All right. So, does the board have any questions or concerns that they want to address to the applicant?
Nothing.
I think we've been through this. All right.
Yeah, I think we have a good understanding.
I think we have a
of
pretty
the
good understanding.
situation.
So, with that, I'd make a motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. We've closed the public hearing. We have 62 days from today to issue a ruling, and we will do so well before then.
All right.
So thank you very much for your patience.
All right, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Whose project is this?
Since we're on the topic, do you want to discuss the resolution? I mean, I know we have another resolution, Horseman, but I guess we can go forward with this. Any problem with that, John?
Nope.
Yeah. The
Think
board.
we're ready to go.
What, any questions, concerns, what discussions do you have with regard to this application? I mean, I don't have a problem with the application. I understand that
I'm
there's
sorry,
a lot of...
where are we?
On the
We're
corner
we're-
horse-
we're just talking on Garden Homes.
Oh.
Okay.
I mean, my recollection was that John gave us direction to ignore any peripheral issues and debates that,
Well-
lawsuits, et cetera,
Well-
and just focus on,
Well, I think
Yeah, I would
from
just
the
phrase that
get-go.
by saying that those things are
Yeah.
outside of our
Right,
jurisdiction.
it's not ignored, in fact, I think we considered them, and we determined that they were outside of our purview. And there are other forms for those things to be addressed.
And I think we also know, I mean, this isn't necessary, but we do know at this juncture that we did suggest to Mr. Patel and his attorney when they were here that their complaints were better, the better place to bring their complaints was the zoning enforcement officer, which they've done. So whatever issues they're raising are now at least in the right space in town government.
And have been addressed by the ZEO, so that was important. And,
so, I'm sorry.
so, no, I'm
No,
sorry.
I was just headed that if we are to look at this application effectively with blinders on its own merits, I personally don't see any reason to reject it. It looks like it will be improving the situation, admittedly with one dwelling, but it basically moves it back into code, which makes sense.
It moves it, well, yeah, I mean, there's no encroachment on the adjoining property, which is nice.
In
That's
fact,
certainly improvement.
there's a little setback.
There's a little bit of setback, and it's a new unit, which is much preferred to the 1960s unit, so.
And it's
yeah,
smaller,
yeah, and it's smaller, so I would absolutely, grant the application. I think it,
It ties up one of whatever happened.
and hopefully we'll have more of these applications, because I know there's another, 2 or 3 at least that
Oh,
are.
yeah, at least.
problematic, right?
And
They're
I would say
problematic.
that although there's a wider spectrum of complaints that Mr. Patel has, at least at a minimum, this is resolving one of those,
Mm-hmm.
which is the encroachment of this particular unit, so.
Makes sense.
So I'm a very fast rider.
got this ready to go.
I know, you're anticipating. So do you want to take us through the resolution? We might as well go through it right now.
Might as well.
Very impressive, Tim.
Yes.
It was. Hey, this was a complicated one to take on, you know?
I appreciate it.
Ah,
Okay, resolution of the town of Rhinebeck in the matter of the area variance application of Garden Homes Management. Case number 957. Whereas, background, the applicant appellant is Garden Homes Management, Glenn Freer, referred to hereafter as the applicant. This appeal is from the town of Rhinebeck zoning enforcement officer's denial dated September 7th, 2017. This appeal pertains to lot number 40 in an existing mobile home community on property located at 6842 Route 9 North on the town of Rhinebeck, which bears the tax parcel number 6171-00-902233. The applicant's property is 2.838 acres in area and is located in the neighborhood residential zoning district. There are approximately 42 manufactured homes on the subject property. The applicant is represented before this board by Glenn Freer, Regional Manager, Garden Homes Management. The applicant's project is described as follows. The applicant proposes to replace a 1960 12-foot by 56-foot manufactured home, unit number 40, with a smaller 2018 14-foot by 36-foot manufactured home. This will eliminate a property line encroachment and come closer to meeting the intent of the setback regulations. The applicant requires 2 area variances. Number 1, the first area variance sought by the applicant is for the front yard setback per the zoning law regulations pursuant to 125-21, a minimum of 10 feet and a maximum of 25 feet are required for front yard setbacks in the NR neighborhood residential zoning district. 1 to 3 feet are proposed by the applicant for a variance of approximately 8 feet. Area variance number 2, the second variance sought by the applicant is for rear yard setback per zoning. A minimum of 25 feet is required for the rear yard in the NR neighborhood residential district. 18 feet is proposed by the applicant for a variance of 7 feet. The applicant filed an appeal with the board on October 3rd of 2017 and has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of the ZEO's decision, appealed from, and thus the application is timely as required by 125-125B of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. Acceptance on October 18th, 2017, this board deemed the application to complete and accepted it for review. Secret. After accepting this appeal, we determined that this matter should be classified as a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act because the project proposed action involves granting of the individual setback and lot line variances. I'm going to skip the numbers. And granting of an area variance for a single-family, 2-family, or 3-family home. No further review is required pursuant to secret. Public hearing schedule, referrals, and responses. We scheduled a public hearing for November 15th, 2017, and directed the secretary to provide notice of public hearing according to requirements of section 125, and refer the application to the following. Dutchess County Planning Board, we determined this application was required to be referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development pursuant to 239M of New York State General Municipal Law and 125E of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. The application was referred to, I had to get rehearsal on this from drug manufacturers, Excuse me. The application was referred to county planning on October 30th, 2017. County planning responded on October 31st and made no comment because exempt of 239 review. Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board has required 125E of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. This application was referred to the Town Planning Board on October 30th, 2017. Town Planning Board responded on November 20th, 2017, and found none of the requested area variances cited to raise any significant planning or environmental issues. Planning Board did, however, note that a site plan review and approval would be required for the captioned matter. The Town of Rhinebeck Conservation Advisory Board, we determined that this application was not required to be referred to the advisory board pursuant to Chapter 9, Sections 9.5A1, 9.5A88A, and 9.6A, all of the Town of Rhinebeck Town Code, because the application does not propose the use and development of open space. Waterfront Advisory Committee, we determined that this application was not required to be referred to the Waterfront Advisory Committee pursuant to Chapter 118 of the Town Code, because the land upon which the project is proposed does not lie within the town's coastal area, and because the proposed action is a minor action, as such is defined in Chapter 118. Site visit on Friday, December 22nd. ZBA members Richard Macaluzzo and Tim Allenbrook visited the applicant's property and the surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand on-site conditions, property characteristics, settings, surrounding environment, and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The purpose of this site visit was to observe the property and the surrounding area and to inform board members for the upcoming decision. The site visit was conducted solely to gather information, and no business or deliberations were conducted during the site visit. Public hearing. A public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held at Town Hall on November 15th, 2017. During the course of the public hearing, we received comments from several members of the public. Glenn Freer, representing the applicant, presented the overall plan. Mr. Richard Mohagan from 3581 Route 9, speaking on behalf of Mary Bradford, also from that address, had questions about boundary encroachments. Mr. Patel spoke about current and long-running litigation regarding sewage outflow from the mobile home park across his property. Mr. Ira Licht, owner of the neighboring pet supply store, identified himself for the record. The ZBA advised the public that they could also submit materials for ZBA's consideration regarding the area variances. The public hearing was closed on today's date, February 21st, 2018. Balancing test. In our review of the variance sought, we have considered the benefit to the applicant if the area variances are granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. We determined that the variances requested should be granted because there is no detriment to health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by the granting of this variance. This particular application, allowing a smaller home to be put on lot number 40, will actually remedy an encroachment, having the home placed entirely within the boundaries of the property. Consideration of the 5-factor balancing test. In our review of the variances sought and consideration of the balancing between the benefit to the applicant as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community, we have considered the 5 factors required by Chapter 125, 124C1 of the Town Code as follows. A, if the variances are granted, will they cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause detriment to nearby properties? We feel the answer to this question is no, since the change to the character of nearby properties is generally imperceptible. There are already mobile homes on the other lots that will not be changing, removed, or increase with this application. As a result, the only addition with this application will be a newer mobile home placed on the existing footprint of a former mobile home. The new mobile home will be smaller in size than the previous model and will not encroach the boundary line. Therefore, no change to the character of the neighborhood with a replacement of the mobile home, and the newer mobile home mitigates a previous encroachment. B, can the benefit sought by the appellant be achieved by some method feasible for the appellant to pursue other than an area variance? We find the answer to this question is no, because the mobile home is a replacement unit for lot number 40. The configuration of the property and lots does not allow for another location of the mobile home. The newer mobile home will be located in the approximate location of the existing footprint on lot number 40, but will be smaller in size and is reducing the pre-existing encroachment on the neighbor's property. C, is the requested area variance substantial? We find the answer to this question is no, since the variance requested affects only one manufactured housing unit out of 42 on the property. The new mobile home will also be placed substantially on the existing footprint of the previous mobile home on lot number 40. D, will the proposed variances have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? We find the answer to this question is no, as there will only be minimal change in the physical or environmental conditions resulting from these variances. The new mobile home will also be placed substantially on the existing footprint of the previous mobile home on lot number 40. E, is the alleged difficulty self-created? We find the answer to this question is yes, as the original pre-existing encroachment was self-created. Minimal variance requested. In addition to our review of the 5 factors and balancing test, we must also determine if this requested variance is the minimum variance necessary and adequate to accomplish what is requested by the applicant, and that it also preserves and protects the character of the neighborhood and the health and safety and welfare of the community. We find the answer to this question is yes, as the changes in the location of Unit 40 both eliminate a property line encroachment and come closer to meeting the intent of the setback regulations. Result 17, result of the balancing test. Based on our analysis of the 5 factors discussed above and the consideration of having minimal variance requested, we find that the balancing test favors granting of the area variances sought. Now therefore be it resolved, based on the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section 1. The ZBA hereby grants variances from zoning law 125-21, finding that the benefit to the applicant does not outweigh the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such a grant. Our decision is supported by a balancing of the 5 factors below. The requested variance will not result in requested variances will not result in undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, and the granting of the area variance will not create a detriment to nearby properties, since the change to character of nearby properties is generally imperceptible. The new mobile home will be smaller in size than the previous model and will not encroach on the boundary line. B, the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The newer mobile home will be located in the approximate location of the existing footprint on lot number 40, but will be smaller in size and is reducing the pre-existing encroachment on the neighbor's property. C, the requested variance is not substantial since it affects only one manufactured housing unit out of 42 on the property. The new mobile home will also be placed substantially on the existing footprint of the previous mobile home on lot number 40. D, the requested variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or zoning district, since the new mobile home will be placed substantially on the existing footprint of the previous mobile home on lot number 40. Therefore, there will only be minimal change in physical or environmental conditions resulting from these variances. The alleged difficulty is self-created, as the original pre-existing encroachment was self-created. Section 2, the ZBA hereby grants the variance from zoning law 125-21, subject to the conditions stated below herein. This grant shall allow replacement and minimal relocation of a 1960 12 by 56-foot manufactured home, unit number 40, with a smaller 2018 14-foot by 36-foot manufactured home. Section 3 will be struck.
1961 manufactured.
And so the new Section 3, because, this Section 3 is, in case there were any contingency. Section 3, the granting of the variance does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits or approvals. The proposed structures must be constructed in conformity with the application and plan submitted. Section 4, the area variances shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of this resolution.
The new rule is you have to read it twice. Catherine was on the site visit with us. Yes.
But I
I think I was just observing.
you were an observer,
Very good.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right,
because I think that's all that's.
excellent. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't go out. I just had a couple of things. One, I kind of have a vague recollection. Did counsel for Mr. Patel also speak regarding,
Yes.
and I don't know if it makes sense
I think he
to-
spoke at a subsequent.
Yeah, subsequent public,
Yeah,
yeah.
at the first public hearing were just the neighbors, and then it was Mr.
I mean,
Patel. and the
I'm
attorney.
fine leaving it the way it is, but I just had a
You can just
recollection.
add through his counsel.
Yeah,
I think is Paul Stone.
something like that, yeah.
Okay, let me,
You can just say through his attorney. He did most of the talking for him
Right.
anyway.
Mr. Patel did some speaking, but also you're right, I think it was Mr. Stone.
and so how about Mr.
That's on
Patel?
13?
Yeah, and Paul Stone, his attorney?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then on B, 15B, but on
Hold
page...
on.
Okay.
D.
Page 4, should we be consistent and say that, talking about the new mobile home, it'll be smaller in size and it should be eliminating, not reducing, the pre-existing encroachment?
Okay.
Because it's not reducing an encroachment, there's not going to be an encroachment there, it's actually going to solve the problem.
Yeah, it's a encroachment, not the setback, right?
So I would just say, instead of reducing, just put in eliminating.
Eliminate.
And actually use that language later on. Anybody else have any nits like I had?
I just have one nit. Page 5, section 2, where it says, the grant shall allow replacement and minimal relocation of a 1960 12-foot by 56-foot manufactured home, unit number 40. That should actually say mobile home.
Because it was not a manufactured
It was
home.
not a manufactured home.
Twice.
Should we go back to the, should that turn, has anybody picked up other places with it, that,
Well, the new unit is a manufactured home, and the unit that it's replacing is a mobile home.
yeah, because then it should be the description,
C, item
the
C.
description,
There's somewhere earlier.
item 4,
You can just do a search for it and make it.
proposed, okay. Do you agree that paragraph 4 in the first page?
Yeah.
And I'll check it for others,
Yeah.
and then I'll send it to you, Chris.
Okay. Anybody else?
Nope.
Tim, you want to make a motion? that we accept your resolution?
Why don't somebody else make the motion?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Okay,
Second?
all right. Any discussion? No? Chris, could you please poll the board?
Scott Bergen.
Yes.
Stephanie Clark.
Yes.
Richard Campbell.
Yes.
David Dyer.
Yes.
Tim Young.
Yes.
Excellent, well done.
I want
Job.
to say a well done to the whole board. This had some oddball questions, and I think the board did a really good job of sort of understanding what questions we should be asking, sorting our way through it, and getting to what I believe to be the right answer.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely it was the right answer, and I like the fact that we gave everybody plenty of time to say their piece, submit whatever information they wanted, so there was a full and fair hearing.
We need decent counsel advice.
That's true.
Yes, well,
It goes without saying.
that's a given.
That's a given. All right, now Smarty Pants, since, you think you can follow that act with the Horseman matter?
Actually, I'm going to read this really fast.
Okay.
There we go.
Thanks, Bill.
Competition.
Everybody ready for Horseman?
I think we're ready for Horseman.
Resolution of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Rhinebeck, New York, in the matter of the area variance application of Walt Horseman, ZBA case number 959. Whereas, background, applicant. The applicant appellant is Walt Horseman, referred to hereafter as the applicant. This appeal is from the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Enforcement Officer's denial dated December 6, 2017. Property involved. This appeal involves property located at 32 Cove Road in the Town of Rhinebeck, which bears the tax parcel number 135089616801454140000. The applicant's property is 2.1 acres and is located in the Land Conservation or LC zoning district. The project is described on a site plan dated December 7, 2017 by Marie T. Welch, licensed surveyor. 3, representation. The applicant is representing himself. 4, description of the proposed project. The applicant purchased the subject property in 2016 and is applying for an area variance to allow for construction of a detached garage on the property, whose setbacks will be within the minimum allowed, and to relocate the driveway to the north side of the property. 5, number of area variances required. 2 variances are necessary to meet the minimum zoning requirements for setbacks. 6, area variance. The applicant is applying for 2 variances relating to location of the proposed attached garage. 1, a 56.6-foot variance because the garage will be 93.4 feet from Cove Road within the 150-foot minimum front yard setback, and 21.6-foot variance because the garage will be 88.4 feet from the northern boundary with the neighbor, Riki, within the 100-foot side yard setback. 7, timeliness of appeal. The applicant filed an appeal with this board on December 5, 2017, and has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of the ZEO's decision appealed from, and thus the application is timely as required by Section 125-125B of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. 8, acceptance of application is complete. On January 17, 2018, this board deemed the application to be complete and accepted it for review. Number 9, SECRA. After accepting this appeal, the board determined that this matter should be classified as a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, because the proposed action involves granting of an area variance for a single-family home, see NYC RR, Section 617.5, C10, and Section 617.5, C12. Turn page. Referrals and responses. Number 10, Town of Rhinebeck Waterfront Advisory Committee, WAC. This application referred to the WAC pursuant to Chapter 118 of the Town of Rhinebeck Town Code, Waterfront Consistency Review. Because the subject property lies within the town's coastal area, WAC responded on December 29, 2017 that it finds no issue with the attendant variance. Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board. This application was referred to the Planning Board, which responded January 7, 2018, that the proposal raised no significant planning or environmental issues. Number 11, site visit. On separate occasions during the week of January 13, 2018, ZBA members Dave Tobias and Catherine Clark visited the applicant's property and the surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand the site conditions, property characteristics, setting, surrounding environment, and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. Number 12, public hearing. A public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held at Town Hall by this board on January 17, 2018. One comment was received, a letter dated January 2, 2018, from a budding neighbor, George Enrique, who did not object to the project as proposed. The public hearing was closed on January 17, 2018. Section 2, findings of fact and conclusions of law.
Number 13, consideration of 5 factors in the balancing test. In our review of the variances sought, we consider the 5 factors required by Section 125-124C1 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law as follows. A, if the variances are granted, will they cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause detriment to nearby properties? We feel the answer to this question is no, because the proposed changes are in keeping with the neighborhood, because the garage will not be seen from the Hudson River, and because relocating the driveway will reduce current visual impacts from the Hudson River toward the property. B, can the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance? We find the answer to this question is yes, but only at a highly unreasonable cost-to-benefit ratio. C, is the requested area variance substantial? We find the answer to this question is no, because the substance of the variances are minor in light of existing conditions, i.e., the proposed garage has a low profile and would be no closer to Cove Road than the existing house. D, will the proposed variances have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? We find the answer to this question is no, as there would be almost no discernible difference in any physical or environmental impacts of the proposed use compared with that of existing and surrounding residential use. E, is the alleged difficulty self-created? We find the answer to this question is yes, because the property was acquired by the applicant 6 years after the 2009 zoning law was approved. Thus, upon purchase, the applicant should have been on notice of zoning rules that restrict new construction. 14, result of the balancing test. Based on our analysis of the 5 factors discussed above, we found that the balancing test favors granting of the area variance sought. Now, therefore, be it resolved, based on all the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above, as follows. Section 1, the ZBA hereby grants a variance from zoning law, Section 125-124C1, subject to conditions stated herein below. These variances will allow the garage to be located as proposed. Section 2, the granting of these variances is contingent on construction beginning within 1 year of this resolution. The granting of this variance does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and/or approvals. Motion to approve a resolution by Dave Tobias, seconded by
Second.
Catherine Clark.
Did you want to have any discussion?
We have to have discussion, and there's...
So sorry, I
one-
got ahead of myself.
You did get ahead of yourself.
I thought I almost was going to hear next, vehicle must be taken from existing dealer stock.
Yeah.
Offer available.
I thought about going into
lessees
I thought he
only.
was an auctioneer, but for a little bit, but...
I'm jealous myself.
Hey,
Wow.
we'll get you home 5 minutes earlier, right?
One correction, I think, is on paragraph 8.
I noticed that, yes.
Yeah, it should be 12/2017 if we accepted the application.
Oh, that one I didn't notice. I think I have another typo here. Where was it?
And I just
Here it
did
is, at
okay.
13A. If the variances are granted, will they cause an undesirable change, B? So strike that B.
Yeah.
Yep.
On paragraph 6, the calculation is wrong for the second variance. 21.6-foot variance, the garage will be 78.4 feet from the northern boundary.
Thank you. I'm going to need to borrow, because my pen is running out of ink, may I? Thank you. What section was that?
Six.
It's paragraph 6 on page 1. You have 88.4 feet, and it's 78.4, because it's a 100-foot boundary, a side yard setback.
Thank you. Math was not my major.
And
It was Kim's.
I'm glad she's here.
And on, I just had a question about, because I didn't go to the property, so on 13B, where you talk about the feasibility of something else, you find the answer is yes, but only at a highly unreasonable cost-to-benefit ratio. What did you mean by that?
Oh, what I meant by that is that there's almost always a solution to something. It's just...
Well, sometimes there's not, it depends on topography
almost.
and things like that.
Right. So here, I think there could be a solution, but it would be attaching it to the house within the setbacks.
Okay.
So are you looking for one more sentence of explanation there, Scott, or?
I don't know if we need it or not. I mean, to me, the application was pretty straightforward
It is,
anyway.
it is.
So I think, I was just wondering what was behind that, that's all. I
Right,
wasn't
well,
sure.
I feel dishonest in saying that there isn't right? That it's impossible to do something. When it's possible, it's just unreasonable or
How about
highly expensive.
saying there's no practical solution?
Yeah, I mean, the test itself talks about feasibility, which is, certainly short of, talking about possibilities. And I think that you put your finger right on it, that it would be, there are other possibilities, but the costs far outweigh the.
They're just unreasonable, yeah.
Yep.
So we can edit this however you'd like.
I'm fine just leaving it the way it is. I mean, I think we have the discussion on the record, so
Okay.
in the future, people will know exactly what we're talking about here. So and we can leave it as it is. Again, I think it's a pretty straightforward application, so.
Yep.
Do you want to make a motion?
I would love to. In fact, I have it written here. Motion to approve resolution.
Second.
Thank you,
Okay.
Richard.
Any more discussion? No?
What was that first correction?
The first correction was on paragraph H. It should be, we accepted the application on December 20th.
Do you know what that was?
Great story.
This one? Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? No? All right. Chris, would you pull the board, please?
Scott Bergen?
Yes.
Richard Matheson?
Yes.
Dave Wise? Timothy Ellis?
Yes.
Yes.
And Kathleen?
Yes.
So I
Okay.
guess the resolution is ripe to use. Is that a legal term?
Yes, it is, actually.
It is,
I
actually,
think
yeah.
It must be, but I'm
Does it
not-
mean what he thinks it means?
Yeah, I think in this context, that's right.
Yeah.
The only other thing that's on the agenda is something that I don't know that we even need to discuss, but I can't discuss it.
You
because-
can't discuss it,
So,
but we'll
do
tee
you
it up.
guys need to do
We'll tee it
something?
up for you. It's all ready to go.
Okay.
Richard?
Yep. I've been handling this, and I reviewed the resolution and attended all meetings relating to it. So there is a resolution that I will present on the matter of the area variance application of Eveready, ZBA case 946. The applicant, appellant is Vanikitos Sarakutis Partners LLP, referred to as the applicant. Property involved is at 6595 Route 9 in Rhinebeck. The tax parcel number is listed in the resolution. It's known as the Eveready Diner. The history is the diner was damaged by fire in 2014 in June. The applicants plan to reconstruct the building in the same footprint. The applicants required a front yard area variance of 21 feet and an area variance of 6% maximum coverage. Previous ZBA review on September 30th, 2015, the Zoning Board of Appeals granted these variances to the applicant. Pursuant to the resolution granting the variances, the applicant was required to obtain any additional approvals and permits required, including but not limited to planning board approval. Furthermore, the reconstruction of the restaurant had to commence within 1 year of the date of the resolution, or the variances would become null and void. Planning board review, the applicant requires a special use permit and site plan review for this property. Issues and concerns were raised by the planning board regarding sewage problems on the property. The planning board has held a public hearing opened since October of 2015, seeking the following information from the applicant: a full copy of the project engineer's submission to the county health department, receipt of a copy of review comments thereupon from the county health department, and finally, review and assessment of both by the planning board engineer. To date, the planning board is still seeking the above information from the appellant and county health department. Current application to ZBA. The application has not been, the applicant has not received a special use permit or site plan approval for this project. For this reason, the 2015 area variances have expired on January 31st, 2017. The applicant sought reapproval from previous area variances granted by the ZBA, granted September 29, 2015. Continued review on February 15, 2017. The ZBA referred the application to the planning board of comments pursuant to section 125, 125E of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. February of 17, the planning board responded. The planning board finds the requested area variance do not raise any significant planning or environmental issues. 2, the planning board notes, however, a significant environmental issue within its purview under the site plan review and approval process, and that the Dutchess County Health Department, that being the provision of a design of adequate sanitary sewage disposal treatment facilities to accommodate the project wastewater flow of the reconstructed restaurant. It is the applicant's failure to secure the approval from the county health department that has caused the previously granted area variance to expire. Even if the ZBA re-grants the requested area variance at this time, the planning board believes the area variances may again expire unless the applicant greatly accelerates its efforts to meet the county health department's requirements as set forth by the department in its letter on November 17, 2015. Until the applicant secures the county health department's approval, the planning board will neither be in a position to continue the site plan review and approval process as suspended on November 16, 2015, in consideration of its knowledge the above cited letter was being issued. Nor will the building department be in a position to issue a building permit following the planning board's site plan approval, both of which would have to occur within 1 calendar year of the ZBA's re-grant. On April 2019, 2017, the ZBA opened a public hearing on this application. This public hearing remained open until the ZBA received further response. The public hearing remained open until the ZBA further response from the planning board in its review of the application on December 15, 2017. The planning board provided an update to the ZBA that has not received the requested documentation applied to the Dutchess County Health Department, and the matters are still pending before the board. The ZBA closed the public hearing January 17, 2018. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town of Rhinebeck ZBA for the reasons set forth above. 1, the applicant has failed to provide the requested documents by the planning board in its application for special use permit and site plan review approval. 2, by virtue of such failure, the planning board has been unable to complete its environmental review pursuant to State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQA, the site plan review, and its review of the special use permit. 3, by virtue of the pending review before the planning board, the zoning board of appeals is unable to continue its own review of the application. 4, for the reasons set forth above, the ZBA cannot perform a competent review of this area variance application because it cannot complete its own SEQA review while the matter is pending before the planning board. For all the reasons set forth above, we determine that the application for the area variance is denied on the grounds that the application is not ripe. This denial of the application shall be without prejudice to apply for the same variances as sought forth in this application. I would like to begin the discussion. I don't know if there's anything we can put in the resolution which would remedy the condition of the property there. Is there any recommendation that we could make to move this forward?
I spoke with the planning board chairman today about this. I don't believe that there's anything that's within our jurisdiction to move it forward. And actually, in point of fact, it's the situation confronted by the property owner in this case is actually even a little bit more complicated than is set forth in this resolution.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion?
and I just say that this, you know, this is taking the effect of the consequence of adoption of this resolution is to just take this, this has been rolling along the
Yes, it has.
calendar,
Yeah.
to remove this item, but as the last line suggests, leaving the door open
Yes,
for the
it-
applicant to come back in and
Without
reapply
prejudice.
for the same variances.
Excellent. All right, I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Leo, please.
Tim Ellenbrook, Richard McLean.
Yes, yes.
Richard McLean.
Yes.
Yes.
Dave
Thank you.
Is that a record with 3 resolutions in one night?
Still thinking.
Good work.
You're setting up a short meeting for next month.
Yes.
Good.
All right, that's all that's on our calendar.
Just
Is there
before
any-
we adjourn, I
Yep.
did actually just check the calendar. Going back to Horseman, for paragraph 8, we had changed it from January 17th to the 20th, but it would have been the 17th, would have been your meeting date.
No, but we closed it on the 20th of December.
Oh, maybe I made the wrong, oh, I'm sorry. I changed the wrong date there. Never mind.
Never mind.
You're okay.
And I used, just to let you know, just to make it even worse, I used your cheat sheet to check that, because it didn't make sense. Anyway. All right, any other, any more business, anything else that needs to be discussed? All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll say.
Seconded? All in favor? Aye. Adjourned.
All right.
I read that.